Hello and welcome to your favorite, most deceptively named bi-weekly legacy podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by our two latest Patreons, Jordan K. and Klausi Klinger. Callum, hey, how's it going, man? How has your week been? How's Britain?
Britain has been better. I'm not bad, really. I'm going to pretty preach to the choir. We're going through a pretty bad COVID stretch, but vaccines are rolling out, so hopefully it's towards the end of it soon. Someone I live with got COVID, tested positive for it last week, so I've been working, going to work throughout the whole thing because I can't work from home very much, but this is my first week locked up properly. I've not left the house since last Thursday, so I don't know, everyone's a veteran of staying at home, and this is my first week, and I'm about to crack. I can't do it anymore. But it's cool. There's things to do at home, as we've said a couple of times on the podcast. We're incredibly lucky to have such a great online community. There's always people to talk to, always things to do and stuff when you play these kind of games. So it's been getting me through it. So thank you everyone for chatting.
So you're saying you just finished basic training of working from home?
Yeah.
So, do you still get dressed before you start working, or how does it work for you?
Today I did. I'm learning. Okay. I'm learning what people have done for the last 9 months or something, which I guess they struggled at the beginning as well. But I lived in some comfy tracksuits for the first 3 days. And then today I got up thinking I can't live in the same thing for 3 days straight. So
are you rocking the 90s Adidas tracksuit? The really colorful one?
They're just
Matt has one of those. Those look ridiculous.
Super light,
amazing.
Kind of feels like you're wearing nothing. It's lovely.
But I hope you're feeling well, and the person you live with, I hope it's not hitting them too hard.
No, they're okay. Had symptoms and currently do, but not too bad. There's no underlying health conditions, so it'll all be fine. I tested
You'll be
negative,
fine. That's great to hear.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Apparently, in the UK, currently 1 in 10 people have had it or have it. So it's.
I heard it in certain areas of London, it's even worse. I really hope it gets better. In Germany, every other time this gets brought up, everybody's like, yeah, but we don't want to end up like Britain, because apparently anyway, let's not get too deep into that. I guess everybody has heard so much about COVID and stuff.
Absolutely.
And in speaking of that, that's actually the reason why Matt isn't here. Matt is busy stabbing people, as he calls it, because he's got to work in the medical field. He likes to stab people in the face as a dentist, but this time I also got to stab people in the arm for the vaccine. So this is what's going on that end. On my end,
I was about to say, don't mention the dentist part. Just talk about stabbing people in the face and see what happens. But yeah, the usual listeners will know that he's a dentist.
I mean, Matt might take some interest in the way people perceive him, and I don't want to just announce him as the face-stabbing killer. I don't really know whether the military has actually any use for that kind of skills. Or
can I edit this episode? Just
you want to edit this episode? Be my guest.
I might cut something out. We'll see. Anyway, what have you been up to recently?
Up is a good word, because I've been up all night a couple of days in the last week. My insomnia was really bad, and I guess part of that is because I was working on a ton of stuff, but also playing with Brood War, and also just really fucking up my sleep schedule. But I actually started to do, oh my god, I feel so old. I started to go on walks in the evening. I straight up just go outside and I walk around in my tiny little suburb for half an hour or an hour, and I run across the same people 3 times in a row, and that has actually helped quite a bit.
There's other people walking at night like you. Yeah,
but actually not too many. I might already know the entire walking community of my suburb. I don't know. And it's kind of weird. I guess they greet me every time, but I have my high-tech Bluetooth headsets in my ears, and they can't see that. So I'm listening to awesome podcasts, and that's what's going on. But I don't really care about it. But what I do care about is that my favorite Lego sets are sold out. The Treehouse and the Razor Crest from Mandalorian.
The Treehouse. Oh my god.
You know the Treehouse?
It's my favorite. I have 2 of it, actually.
Yeah, you're right. Nobody has 2 tree houses. Okay, what's the alternative color on the tree house?
Brown.
Fuck. Anyway, so I hope that they're gonna be coming back. Somebody whom I'd love to have back on a future episode, even though he's our first-time guest here on Everyday Eternal, is my good friend from Japan/Germany, Kai Sawatari. Kai has been around the Legacy community for pretty much over a decade now, I think, at this point. And he's made a name for himself as a very famous INT player. He's had a couple of really good GP finishes, got a top 4 GP Kyoto, got 70th place at Lille. He got a star of Mox in top 8, and he also got 2nd place in the so-called God of Legacy Tokyo tournament, which we're going to hear a little bit about later. But first of all, Kai, how's it going? How's the morning? We were just like in the pregame talking about breakfast in Japan. Which kind of breakfast did you have today?
Hey, good morning, Julian, Callum, and everyday Eternal. It's Kai. I just finished my breakfast. I had some rice and miso soup and some boiled eggs. I skipped on the fish for now, but yeah, that's what I've been up to. Good to be here.
Do people eat sushi for breakfast?
Oh hell no. That's like eating steaks for breakfast. No. You don't do that.
Wait, you don't eat steak for breakfast?
I mean, I don't. Maybe you do.
Maybe Kobe beef or something. I hear that's like really, really expensive and really tasty. But yeah, it's so cool to have you on. When I told people that you were going to be on, a lot of people got really excited because everybody who's ever met you or been like in your presence any kind of way, you emit an energy and enthusiasm for Legacy and Magic in general that's almost unparalleled. Like, we've been to a couple of tournaments, and every time we've been there, I felt like, dude, this is like the best ambassador for the format we could have. So I've been trying to get you to stream. Maybe one day, we can get you into the Twitch community, because that would be really amazing. But today, what we really want to learn from you is, what is Legacy like in the faraway country of Japan? We spared no expenses. We established a cyber connection to you directly to Tokyo. And we will make use of this connection to talk to you over the internet and learn more about Japan. So Kai, how did you end up in Japan? I know that you grew up in Germany. I think you were actually born in Japan, right? But then you moved over here, and now you've been back in Japan for something like 6 years?
Yeah, so I've been kind of all over the place. But I was born in Japan. And when I turned 5, my family, we decided to move to Germany. That's also where I started to play Magic when I was 10 years old. I got some crappy comments and uncommons from the older students, like Bog Imp. That was my very, very first Magic card from the dark. I still have it in my binder. It's
that exact
incredible. It's incredible. It's heavily played. It's damaged actually, but I still got it. It was, the card was so terrifying. The artwork was so gross and all that I was really, all about it. It was dark and evil. That's what I'm all about. So
that's totally what drew me into the game as well. I had like a 100 card mono black deck with Hand of Deaths and Nightmares and stuff. Love it.
Hell yeah.
That was my jam.
Man, skulls are evil, and
Oh yeah.
People are evil in Wizards, and
the more skulls, the better.
And it hasn't really changed, because as you said, like my favorite deck of all time is probably Ad Nauseam Tendrils, followed by Doomsday, and they all got a lot of skulls on them, so it hasn't really changed yet.
So many skulls.
Yeah, but so I started playing Magic in Germany. Also went to the most GPs when I was around the Europe area. Grinding a lot of GPs in like France and Italy and Czech Republic and so on. And 6 years ago, I made a big decision in my life to come back to Japan, just because I wanted to kind of explore what it's like to live in a country this far away from Germany. Because even though I was born here, I can speak the language, I'm not 100% on the same level with all the other Japanese in terms of like how they think, how they talk, how they discuss, how they play Magic, how they like literally everything, right? So
have you picked up on like Japanese slang? Because you basically you learned it from your parents, and I guess at 5 years did you go to kindergarten? And there's not too much like actual badass slang going around in kindergarten, at least in Germany.
Oh, you don't know how much you can talk when you're a 5-year-old kid. It's insane. Like, oh, you talk about all nonsense. It's obviously like a mix of Japanese and then Gugu BB Gaga Japanese, but it's a lot. Yeah. I mean, it's 1 or 2 years before you go to elementary school, right? So I mean, you are hopefully like fluent in your native language.
Ideally, yeah. But that's actually really interesting. So, how much do you actually remember from back in Japan in kindergarten? Is that like a huge part of your past, or do you mostly associate home with Germany?
Yeah, so Julian, don't tell anyone. I know it's a podcast, but don't tell anyone that my Japanese is basically the Japanese of a 5-year-old plus a little bit of plus a little bit of extra steps.
It sounds good enough to me.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah, but for that's a good example. So I can't read the news in Japanese. I have to read the news in Japanese in German, for example, or in English. It doesn't matter. But the kanjis, like kanjis are really, really important, obviously, and you need to memorize like about at least 2,000-ish to properly read, like science newspapers. And my level of kanji is definitely below that. Not far below, but and
But you can read magic cards, right?
I can, yeah. Oh man, I kind of want to skip here to the first week when I got here 6 years ago.
Go ahead.
Because so I started to work at this company called Tokyo MTG. They're the third biggest magic store in Tokyo, and the biggest community mostly for foreign people and for people who like EDH and chill games. Like not a lot of competitive play, but like a lot of hangouts. That's where I worked for 6 years, and it's been a super awesome store. Anyway, I was there the first week, and I didn't understand a single thing they said, because all these keywords in Japanese were like ridiculous to remember. You had a few simple ones, like for example, flying is trample is torampuru. So
really? That's amazing.
Yeah. It's torampuru, or first strike is fast strike.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Like, dude, I love this.
Right? Like,
yeah, I think I can speak Japanese as well now. Let's do it. Let's get to Tokyo, Julian.
What's denim walk?
Oh my god, what is that?
That's a land walk. If your opponent wears anything made of denim,
oh yeah,
it can't be blocked.
Yeah, so you take the word for example, mountain. It's yama, like Fujiyama, for example, yama.
Yeah.
And then watari, Watari. Watari means to kind of like to go over. I mean, basically walk.
Oh, that's really cool. So you arrived there, you're like, oh, this is gonna be easy. I'm like a native Japanese, even though I'm like on a 5-year level. But come on.
Yeah.
And then you were looking around, guys. Can we just like speak English, please? Like my third language.
It was so embarrassing because before I came here, I became a level 1 judge, and in the first couple of days, Tokyo MG, they didn't really know what to put me. And I was like, I can do anything, and say, okay, well, why don't you judge for one day? And that was a Friday Night Magic, and I think that was the worst day of my life by far, because I didn't understand a thing, and I got questions from Japanese players, and I was like, well, yeah, maybe you're gonna figure it out yourselves, or like, I couldn't even answer, so it was pretty bad.
I imagine this like when you arrive in a position that you're not really qualified for, and then when like the first decision you have to make when your underlings, quote unquote, come to you, you're like, what would you suggest? People are like, I get to draw the extra card. And the opponent says, no, I get to draw the extra card. You're like, the first guy seems more credible. You draw the extra card. Like, what
or just be like, this? Both you draw. It's fine.
Kind of is the best judge. Oh, actually, you know what that reminds me of? I think like many years ago, we actually did commentary on something, or we were on a podcast together. I really don't remember. But I remember that I asked you how to actually properly pronounce Umezawa's jitte. And you actually told me like live on the thing that you don't know, and you need to ask your boss at Tokyo MTG, who I think actually was a German back then. Or I guess he still is.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't changed. I mean, he's still German. But yeah, it's a Umezawa no jitte. It's jitte. It's
also no in the end.
Yeah, it's not GT or some
chits or chit.
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah. That's really bad. That's so bad.
I've played against a lot of people that say here's a jit. And it's like it just feels so wrong. So I'm glad to hear that it's definitely wrong.
Yeah. Like especially when they name it on Cabal Therapy, for example. So, no, that card is not in my hand. You gotta try better than that.
You once told me a story like your opponent named a card on Cabal Therapy, and you didn't know which card he named. So what did you actually do then?
Oh, that was a crazy dude. This was a crazy story from the GP Kyoto. Yeah, where I top 8'd it. And it was in day 2, and there was back in the day when dig through time was legal. There was a lot of Grixis Delver. There was a lot of Omnitel and Miracles. I was playing at Nauseam 10-year-olds, and I got paired against this guy who played Grixis Delver, right? And he doesn't even probe me. He just goes for the blind Cobalt Therapy, and I go, okay, well, go ahead. And then he says something in Japanese, and I assumed that was the card name, and I just put my hand on the table, and I watch him, and he doesn't say or do anything. I was like, okay, well, probably he might have missed, and I picked them all up, and then he said, oh, no, I actually double hit. It was your Infernal Tutor. You have 2 copies in your hands. And I said, oh, okay, all right.
Dude, maybe he really got you. Maybe just like he said, like LED or so. You're like, he called you bluff. He's like, this guy doesn't understand a single word of Japanese. Actually, I'm just gonna.
Or is this where we call a judge and the judge is like, okay, you discard your Infernal Tutors, and then he discards his Infernal Tutors too, in the fair way we were talking just now. Everyone discards everything. Yeah.
And we both draw a card.
Yes, exactly.
Like that. Okay.
Callum, you sure the COVID hasn't started yet?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The fever dream judging?
I'm definitely not going crazy, I promise.
Oh, awesome.
Do you want to play some D&T?
I hear that actually just won the showcase challenge. So
this is my cry for help. No, Karen.
That's the safe word. Okay, I get it. But Kai, you went to Japan, and I think the last time we talked before you went to Japan was at Ovinogeddon in Milan, and you told me you wanted to make this change because you had to figure out what you want to do with your life. And tell me about it. It's like, when you arrived in the Japanese scene, you said you didn't really understand much, you didn't really like know the culture, I guess, of how it goes, because whenever I see like Japanese streams, it always feels like everybody's playing a little bit differently. It always feels like there's less smack talking, even though I don't really understand it, but like people, they don't have this thing where they are trying to put on a show or intimidate their opponent. Is that really how Magic is played in Japan, or is that more like the stereotype of the polite Japanese that's not actually like fully true?
Well, generally, players in Japan are very, very polite, almost too polite to be completely honest, because if you're too polite, then it's also kind of hard to make new friends, if that makes any sense. Right? Because if you're too polite to your opponent, then you almost create some kind of like a barrier between you and your opponent, and be like, hey, this was a nice game, but let's don't get closer any further. Or
that's as often like in German you used C in a tournament, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would be so weird. And or like all the English speakers are like, well, we only have few. We always make friends at every tournament.
Right. But it's also very, very chill. You have almost zero shit talk or trash talk in general. Like people, I don't know, like whining about the tournament, or about the format, or about decks, about opponents. It really doesn't happen here. So all the GPs and major tournaments I've been to in Japan were like so relaxed and chill. Even after like the 7th or 8th round, I was like, oh wow, it feels like it just started. So
that sounds like a dream.
Oh yeah.
Like, complaining about luck and stuff is one of my least favorite parts of the game or any games.
It's so hard to answer, right? Like what do you even tell that person? Do you say, like, yeah, it happens,
You know what I tell people when they do that? I at this point I'm just numb. I just tell them, yeah, you should have just played better. Even if I was playing Belcher and I killed them on the first turn and they're like on AF, so like they had no way to stop me, and they tell me, oh, you got so lucky. I just tell them, oh no, you should have just played better. Like their comment is so stupid, so I'm gonna try to one up their stupidity by adding even more to it. And I think that's the only way to deal with that. And it's actually the only thing I consider hilarious. But yeah, that's my way to deal with that. So
in our play group in London, we made up a thing where if you want to complain about a match or anything, you have to give a cookie to the person you're telling it to. And so people just didn't have cookies with them at these tournaments, so they couldn't tell their bad beats, and it kind of spread around, and it kind of cured it for a bit. And
so you try to stay away from the people who are carrying cookies because they're going to be salty.
It's like a big red flag. Don't come near me. I have cookies.
That's actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
But Kai, what else are you doing in Japan? So you moved over there. You told us you started working for Tokyo MTG. I think you brought a lot of Tokyo MTG merchandise to the European tournaments. I think there was one GP in Lille where half of our group of friends was wearing the Tokyo MTG shirts. That was kind of cool. Is that your main job, or what else are you doing right now? I think you also got some sweet side gigs going on, right?
Yeah. So Tokyo MTG was I worked there for 6 years. I stopped there half a year ago. But I did loads of stuff. like doing like content for the store, doing the whole graphic design thing, so the homepage and like everything on social media, and took care of all the Japanese and foreign employees there. It's probably the most international store by a big margin, really. It was a lot of fun hosting events, doing bilingual pre-releases, all sorts of awesome events, artist events too. And but obviously because of COVID, the store had to close last year, and I was like, hey, maybe I wanna do the next step, and I'm currently looking for like a new step in my life. I don't know what that's gonna be, but I'm looking forward to it. Meanwhile, I'm also doing some side projects. The biggest one of them is my own painting project. It's called Sawatari Doodles. It's SAWATARI, and then Doodles like DOODLES.com. I'm painting mostly in acrylics, also sometimes in oil, a lot of abstract art. And I've already had my 2 big exhibitions here in Tokyo, one in Shibuya and one in Shinjuku, and it's been really great. I've also sold a few pieces, also to some Magic players.
That's cool. Very cool.
Yeah, so that's what I've been up to.
Do you take commissions?
I do. I actually just got a commission from a good friend of mine who's gonna get married next month. So he wants to get some sort of commission, which is gonna be on the altar or at the entrance area maybe. So that's kind of cool.
Which kind of art is that going to be? Like, to give us an idea, which would be the last set that Wizards would have even considered printing your art in? Or is it like something contemporary that they would also print today?
So I really like to draw with like strong colors, like color expressions and faces. Usually with either like masks or some weird abstract shapes in it. I think if my art was on a Magic card, it'd probably be on one of the earlier sets, I want to say. Just because in earlier sets such as like Dark or Legends, like so much weird art was allowed, like you could paint anything and be on the Magic card. But who knows? I mean, who knows? Yeah, really. I mean, like people like Seth MacKinnon, for example, he made a name for himself. He's a absolutely like fantastic artist, and some of those like a little like different, quote unquote, different artists, they also get very popular these days. So who knows? Yeah.
Awesome. I'd like to see some art of yours. You said you had an exhibition in Shibuya, right? Shibuya is that like isn't that the hip district with like the big crossing that everybody knows about? Like I didn't know much about Japan until I actually started like watching a lot of travel vlogs from Japan, but I knew about Shibuya. And have you made it as an artist if you get an exhibition there, or is that just like me imagining things?
Shibuya is definitely the area with the big crossing. I think it's like on average, I think 1,000 people crossing it per minute or so, or some ridiculous number like that. And I got a little lucky by having a good friend of mine who works at a international half tourist information, half bar kind of hybrid, which is exactly where the crossing is. And she asked me, like she came over one day to my house, and obviously like all my whole apartment is covered by paintings. I don't have any walls left. And she was like, wow, this is kind of cool. Can we maybe do like some sort of like a collaboration? I was like, yeah, I'm all about it. Let's do it. And the next month, most of my stuff was there for almost 2 weeks, I think. Yeah, it was pretty sick.
That's really cool. So we're definitely going to have the link to your website in the show notes. But to get back to Magic, I wonder. We hear so many stories about Tokyo. Tokyo, I think you have like 24 million people, like more than Canada or something in the Greater Tokyo area. There's like a lot of stores. I think you've told me on many times that you can basically play Legacy on every single day of the week, sometimes even like several times a week. How do I have to imagine that? Because I come from Munich. Munich is like 1.4 million, and we have exactly one store, and we had to beg them forever to even just get Legacy FNM. And now you tell me what Tokyo is like, because I still can't like fully understand that.
Yeah. So the first year at least, when I came here, I was like, okay, like every day when it was my free day, I was like, okay, I wake up. Do I have a plan? Yeah, maybe. No, if I don't, then I can at least go to a legacy tournament. You know, like so going to a legacy tournament was always plan B if I don't have anything better to do. Which, you know, I mean, the first year I was all about grinding anyway, so I went to all these tournaments, and you have too many of them. It's crazy to say, but I think Tokyo has too many tournaments. It also has tons of players, but it's crazy how in one city sometimes they fire like 3-4 legacy tournaments at the very same time in different locations, and they all have between, I want to say, like 20, 30 to up to 60 players each. It's massive.
This is every day.
It's so it's a little more on the weekends, obviously,
okay.
But
Makes sense.
but still on the weekdays you have, because every day has their daily tournaments, right? And some stores they do more modern and standard or draft. Some stores do more legacy. But yeah,
that's crazy. That is so much legacy. I'm so
Right.
jealous.
I mean-
I'm going to go book a flight now. I think let's get over there. That's so cool. Like we were similar here in London, Julian. Like until I started doing some events with my friends, we just had nowhere to, like, apart from like once a week with 15, 20 people, there just wasn't this kind of thing. And so to hear that there's like 20 to 60 people on the weekends firing in multiple places, that's just crazy. I didn't realize it was such a high number. That's so cool.
right.
And has it always been like that I mean, Legacy has been popular all around the world for quite a while now, but it just blows my mind how you can maintain a scene like that. You told me that there's, I think, what are they called? Haruri? I can't even pronounce them. I'm not even going to try. The store, that Saito store, right?
Yeah. I think Legacy especially got very popular post 2015, because that was also when, with GP Kyoto, the very first Legacy GP in Japan, right? Before they didn't have any Legacy GPs in Japan, but I think that GP really pushed the whole format like so far in terms of, you know, what stores like to run now, what people are all about, like buying duels and, you know, playing. I want to say the best format ever. You know, prove me wrong. So
you're allowed to say that on this podcast. We are very legacy positive here. But yeah, how does it work? So do you have like, because you gotta make up your mind, right? Which store do I go to when there's like several events happening at the same time? Do you just go to the nearest store, or are there certain stores where you say, okay, here is where I go when I really want to grind hard against the best players in all of Tokyo or even Japan? Or are there also more like quote unquote newbie stores? How does one decide where to go? And maybe in case, like, probably like not a lot of our listeners are going right now, but if they are going in the near, like, say sometimes this or next year, like, what are the most common stores to go to, and what are their specialities?
Yeah, so I think generally Hareruya, so Hareruya is the biggest store by far. They got a tournament center. That's a store with 300 seats, and they're usually all taken. It's a massive store, and they have a feature match area, like an actual stage with like lights and all that, and they have like 10 PCs in store where you can order cards from. They have a huge floor with single cards being displayed, and I think 5 or 10 buying counters. It's like it's massive. It's almost like being on a mini GP, but you can go there every day.
I sorry to interrupt you there, but you said they have like 300 chairs for like a store. This is not like, I don't know, a convention center or something. This is a store in the city of Tokyo, and they just have this amount of space to run tournaments. That just blows my mind. You actually gotta post picture. Maybe I can find pictures online of that, because I really can't imagine what that's like, because that sounds amazing.
Right, and you go in there, and let's say it's a Saturday, and it's noon. They fire standard, modern, legacy, vintage, draft, everything.
Vintage.
Also at the same time at 12, all at the same time, and each tournament has at least 30 players. I want to say even more.
Sorry, Sorry, I keep interrupting you on that because like you're giving me kind of information that really blows my mind. You're saying like it gets 30 people for Legacy for Vintage, because I know in Europe, like on the card market servers, I mean there are servers as well on the card market series, they also have a Vintage main event, and that event usually gets between 20 and 30. But that's like 4 times a year, and now you're telling me people can play 30-man Vintage every weekend in Tokyo. I think a lot of Europeans are gonna move to Japan as soon as it becomes available again.
Yeah, I mean, I think Vintage is not every weekend. It's maybe like every second or every other weekend, but definitely more than once a month. And you can grind a lot of Vintage. It's crazy, really. I finally bought my Black Lotus exactly 1 year ago, and I don't regret it at all. I've been using my Black Lotus so much more than most of the other cards, really. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, but
how does it work? Can you actually borrow decks? Or because I know in Europe a lot of scenes are being kept alive by people who have like 7 different decks, and every tournament they lend those out, or is like everybody have their own deck and is borrowing a deck like not a thing in Japan?
Oh no, I like everyone buys the cards. Yeah. So you have actually like, I don't know, like 30 people with the full powered Power 9 decks. But I think because about your question, why there's so many players who are willing to pay so much money and for Magic, is that I think generally people are working hard in Japan, right? Like they do overtime. They really dedicate their lives to their jobs, so they work so hard that with the remaining time they want to kind of squeeze everything out. So they basically dump all the money into the decks, for example, into new formats, and just kind of go all in, because I think the quote unquote nerdy culture is also way more accepted in Japan. You know, you have
the dirty culture, and what by dirty?
Oh no, not the nerdy.
Nerdy. Oh, there's lots of dirty culture. Lots of stuff get pixelated. Like, oh, you have like a white border card. Yeah, let's pixelate that. We can't show that on stream. Oh, okay. You I think you actually told me that once, that in Japan, being nerdy, quote unquote, is much more acceptable in society. Whereas I know it's gotten a lot better in Germany, at least. Maybe also in Europe, but I certainly know, like in the 90s or like early 2000s, if you were a card gaming player, people were like, "Ew, you're awkward." Like you just got that stamp, and I mean, it's gotten a lot better, but it's still like a little bit of a thing, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. I remember how I used to hide it on first dates in Germany, and then I had some first dates in Japan. I didn't even hide it. You know, I just said it straight up, and it's like, yeah, and I play this card game. You know, it's kind of like, I always say it's between poker and chess, and that's when people get really excited, and it's like, yeah, I mean, it's that with extra steps. So
I use that same description too, actually, to people that don't know it, because it is pretty accurate. Yeah, it's cool.
So how does it work when you date somebody in Japan, but your Japanese is just on a level of a 5-year-old? That must be quite the experience.
Maybe they like the 5-year-old. Like not that sounds terrible. Let's cut that out. I was about to say the attitude. Let's edit this bit out. That sounds terrible to say they like the 5-year-old.
It's all right. I mean, I'm usually the guy sitting in the corner with like milk. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Awesome. But so yeah, you're saying Haruya is basically the big store that everybody should check out, especially for the tournament center.
Yep.
Which other stores would you recommend? I would guess Tokyo MTG, but you said they're closed down. Is this like temporarily, or is that going to be gone?
I mean, it's been an up and down, I think, for quite a while now. I think the store is open again, but again, there are no events there, but I think people go there to free play. Yeah, Tokyo MTG is the biggest international go-to store for especially for casual play, to appreciate Magic art, because that store also has a lot of Magic original art. I just saw the original art of Mystic Snake, for example, being displayed there, and many others. It's kind of insane. And then you also have some other stores. For example, it's one is called Big Magic. I think it's the second biggest store. It's been there, I think, even longer than Haruya. And then there are so many others, Julian. Like even in the Akihabara area, which is a little bit in the east, they have in this Electric Town City District, they got more than 13 stores. And I'm not lying here. You know, they actually got 13 stores. Not all stores have a player space. Some of them are like very small, and they have a couple of showcases maybe. But you know, you can still get Magic cards there, and so you can spend a whole day only in Akihabara and grind through all these stores and see what they have, so see what they're up to. It's insane. So if you come here, I will definitely take you there, because that's an experience you will never get anywhere else. It's insane, really.
That sounds amazing, dude. That should actually be a challenge. Visit every Magic store in Tokyo over the span of like a week or something, and like do videos there. Actually, how does that work? Like, would people be accepting if you walk into a store and you wanted to film? Because I know in Germany it's like a really big no-go to film anywhere without permission.
I think it's the same rule, and no matter where you go, right? I think.
In the US, you can probably film anywhere, as far as I know.
Yeah, you know, maybe I should go in and tell them, hey, you know, if you do this, then your store gets probably like double the sales and very promoted and stuff, and they probably can't reject. So
there's this weird German guy coming in, and he's gonna talk you up like nothing else. So you better let him get in and give him some good deals. And speaking of good deals, something that I'm also curious about: how does it work? Do people buy all their singles at shops? Or is it like in Europe where everybody just buys from online, basically from Card Market, right? I would guess Card Market probably owns like 90% of the revenue in Europe.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a big secret. So there is no such thing as Magic Card Market in Japan, and that's the reason why all the stores are there. You know, like, so everyone goes to a Magic store and buys packs, singles, everything in the store, and that's like, otherwise these stores couldn't survive. I think if there was a Magic Card Market platform where everyone can just upload their cards and buy other cards from other people, then why would you need stores, right? Except for a player space. And maybe this is also one of the key successes of Magic in Japan. And like, my personal opinion is that I think it's totally fine. Like, I'm happier if I pay a little more to get my cards in a store, but I also have all these stores around which run all these events, you know, rather than vice versa.
Makes total sense. I actually just never thought of it like that, and my head is just like popping. It's like, oh my god, it makes so much sense. Like, I would snap do that in a second. Like, I would pay more and not use Magic Card Market if we had all these stores as well. I just never considered it like that. So yeah, very jealous of what you have, actually.
Yeah, this is really interesting, because now that you put it like that, I remember that in Germany, the support for especially Legacy started going down once Card Market became big, to the point where probably one of the best stores in all of Germany, Funtainment in Nuremberg, the owner ended up closing the shop after like a couple of years, because he said he doesn't really want to trade on Card Market, but then after a while he started doing it, and he told me he made so much money on Card Market that he needed to rent a second apartment just to like, basically he rented the apartment above his store just to store the cards, and then he started storing the cards at his parents' place, and that was full as well. And eventually he decided, okay, I'm gonna give up my LGS and I'm gonna use the entire space just for trading and for like keeping my cards around. I don't even need to run the LGS anymore. I'm just gonna do Card Market trading. And I mean, that's the perfect example of basically support breaking down because of, well, online shops. I mean, I'm not blaming Card Market here. It's also like basically players do what they wanna do in the short run, with probably out really considering the consequences in the long run. I certainly did that as well. But now that you put it like that, yeah, there's, I guess, hashtag support your local dealer, right? That's how it works.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, you know, if they get, because player spaces are never get charged, right? Like, you can always go there. You can use their space to play Magic, have a good time, and if they provide such a good service, then why wouldn't you want to buy some cards from them? Like, I think it's a win-win situation. So,
well, that's great. I wish we could, in some way or form, get this back. I don't know. Maybe, yeah, that's probably like a story for a different podcast. But if you are in a situation where you still have like a local thriving scene, definitely make sure to support that once it becomes a thing again, right? I guess right now it's pretty hard to support your LGS, but I guess there's other stuff to order. But yeah, I want to move to Japan, Kai. I can't help you. Which part of the city should I move in? Where will I feel at home?
So I've lived in a few couple of districts in Tokyo, and I gotta say they're all definitely not the same. You definitely want to avoid those big traffic areas with like loads of skyscrapers and just loads of people, because you have that in the city center. I live a little outside. That being said, it's only 15 minutes to the city center, so I guess it's not too far outside. But it's the hipster area where if a lot of like musicians, artists, not a lot of high buildings. It's very chill, calm. You get all your needs. I have a local fish market here, just like 30 seconds. Oh, because I also live only 30 seconds from the station. And
you have a ridiculously good public transport system. I've once seen the metro map of Tokyo, and holy shit, that looks like a puzzle one has to solve. But I guess there's like, I don't know, apps or something that tell you where to change. It was just a little bit too much for me. Coming from Munich, where we have like 7 or 8 different metros, and that's it. And you guys have like everything.
Yeah, Julian, what if I tell you that I almost never looked up the time when the next train's gonna arrive? I just
go there.
I just go to the station, and they gonna wait a couple of seconds. It's gonna be there.
Yeah, I just know it from when I was in Beijing. I was already like super fascinated with the Beijing subway system, because that was also so convenient. We just have so much to make up for with regards to that in Europe.
Right.
But yeah, that's something that. I don't know, like the way we keep talking about this, Tokyo sounds like the perfect place to be. So actually tell me something about the dark side of Tokyo. Tell me something about the dark side of Magic in Japan. And I mean by the dark side, I don't mean like really bad stuff. But if you have that, give it to us. But is there anything that you miss playing in Japan as opposed to Europe?
So I guess it's more like a luxury problem. But I remember I was really looking forward to those events when I lived in Berlin. These talking about Magic events, like for example, being like, so this Sunday there's this big tournament in this other city like Hanover, or like somewhere where we have to drive at least 1 hour, and we got there with some friends, and we talked about decks and stuff in the car, and obviously there was a lot of trash talk also, but it was a lot of like like getting pumped, getting prepared for a tournament. And here in Japan, because you have too many tournaments, and you can also access them so easily, like to Hareruya, the tournament center, it literally takes me like 25 minutes. I've been less excited about paper tournaments, if that makes any sense, because it doesn't matter if you do well or not. You just go there the next day, and you can do better, which is obviously good for training purposes. But you don't have these, I've been waiting for this tournament for over a decade now, or like over a month probably. And I kind of want to I want to do my best now, and like put all my efforts from the last couple of weeks into this one event. Like this feeling doesn't exist here, because you have tournaments every day. If that is even a problem, I don't even know if that's a problem, but you don't get very.
It's hyped. Like you say, it's a luxury problem, but there is a middle ground to try and like aim for between. Yeah, when you have too much of a good thing, which sounds like you're not having too much right now. Like it sounds amazing to be there, but you do want this excitement with friends, especially, to be going somewhere. So maybe if you had the option of bigger events at some point, and you would travel there with friends, that would bring that kind of similar fire back.
Right. And I think that's also why you sometimes see a lot of odd cards in Japanese deck lists. Sometimes I think you guys have seen some of those like ridiculous
Dead
card
drop.
choices.
That's the one that I will never forget. It's like 9 mana or something. Target player sacrifices 2 creature and it has Delve.
10 mana. Come on, Julian.
You
got to know your legacy staples. I've made Jarvis play this a few times in Delver, and he's shouted at me every single time afterwards. It's a favorite.
You seem to have a lot of influence over Jarvis.
He listens to me for some God knows why, but
he actually recently joined our Discord. Shout out to Jarvis. Hey man, how's it going?
Oh yeah. Kai, you're like popping my brain for a second time, because I've been always fascinated by Japanese lists, and I do try and look them up whenever I can, because there is always some really cool technology in them, and there's a lot to be learned. I've always thought that as good as European and American players are, we are less willing to try new stuff out. But now hearing about how many events you have, I would absolutely be doing this. Like at my local store, I know it's not a great comparison because we'd have it once a week, but I would play really wild decks. But it's never published, it's never posted about. So yeah, we're seeing the wild side because they do get published, and because people have this opportunity to play so often. When people don't have the opportunity so often, they don't want to waste their time, energy, or money like playing something off the wall. But if you're able to play at least once a week, if not more, it makes a lot of sense to be dead dropping people. So I love it.
Is that a term already? Like dead dropping people?
Oh yeah, I think whenever someone plays like a really weird card and destroys someone with it, I like calling it dead dropping now.
Like imagine you finish your round. Yeah, I got dead dropped. So again.
Oh well, I played against Nick Fit and they dead dropped me, and then Snapcaster dead drop. These things happen.
Oh, Snapcaster dread drop. Oh, I'm dying.
You'd have like half your deck away at this point. Oh, that's amazing, dude. It almost feels like it's the best of both worlds with regards to the amount of tournaments that you get on Magic Online, but also the personal interaction that you get in paper tournaments, and that's what's really fascinating to me about the Japanese scene. How does one get along, like, speaking English? If I come over and I want to play and say I don't know anyone Japanese to help me out, can I just, like, walk up to a store and be, like, a stupid English speaker, like, nothing else? Actually, I didn't want to make fun of English speakers. I wanted to make fun of me, but I'm not even a native English speaker. Anyway, you get the idea.
Yeah, I think you would be on the same level as I was 6 years ago. I was fluent in Japanese, but didn't understand a thing on like Magic related, really. But you should be fine. You should be fine. I already had a couple of European Magic friends who came over. Like big names as Claudio Bonanni, for example. Like he won a GP once in Lille, I think, in 2015. He came over with his friend Stefano 3 years ago, and I took them to the tournament center. We also had nice meals and loads of drinks afterwards, and it was really, really cool. And Claudio said that the general conversation was fine. It's still Magic after all, right? Like same rules, and everyone who has been to an international GP knows that it's possible. Maybe you have to call the judge sometimes if someone has indeed a Japanese dead drop and you don't know what the card does, then you can call the judge. But that's.
If a Legacy player doesn't know what dead drop does, are they really playing Legacy?
Are they listening to this podcast in the first place? So my suggestion would be, if they play Cable Therapy, you just hand them pen and paper and ask them to draw the card.
One story before I forget. So I had a really, really interesting experience at the GP Kyoto. So once you reach top 8, you can look at your opponent's deck list, right? At least that was the rule back then. I don't know if it has changed. And so I sat down on the quarterfinals, and my opponent, he gave me his deck list. I gave him mine, and his deck list was all written in Japanese. I couldn't read a thing. And I gave my deck list to my opponent. It was all written in English. He couldn't read a thing. And we're sitting there, like all the other quarterfinal matches have started. We were like, yeah, like what? I don't get it. And the judge came over, and he tried to kind of like translate those names, but then after like a couple of minutes, he was like, yeah, well, that doesn't make any sense. Just why don't you guys exchange your actual decks and just memorize everything? And he did that. So we started, I want to say 10, if not 15 minutes later, and we finished as the first quarterfinal table, because the matchup was kind of lopsided. It was Grixis Delver and me on that 1,010 rolls. It was not even close.
Oh,
this is where the smack.
Okay. I'm gonna stop here, but I'm
nice.
Just one of the most broken decks in Legacy. Easy matchup. I mean, that's always the thing, right? Between A&T and Java, there's always this like people on both sides think they're favored, but I'm biased to believe more into the ad nauseam Storm side of things. I mean, the matchup is historic at this point, doesn't really matter, but that's one of the biggest stories of Legacy, combo and Delver players not being able to agree on who's favored in the matchup.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we already talked about your GP finishes. You actually manually added your runner-up finish at the God of Legacy Tokyo tournament. Is that the biggest way to build your name in the Legacy scene in Japan? Is that like the biggest thing outside of GPs that's going on?
Not anymore. Because they started to do Eternal Weekends also in Japan. They did it twice.
Yeah,
they did it twice. massive events. Legacy at least like 600, if not more, players. Vintage with 150 players. I've never seen 150 players with the full set of marksmen in this one playing area. It's so much money. Anyway, so you have the Eternal Weekend, and then you have also some other events. But the God of Legacy is a specific tournament in Hallelujah, so it's 300 player max. So it can't, So it's usually capped. So you have 300 Legacy players battling for for the trophy basically, and you have that in all formats. So you have a God of Modern 2, you have a God of Standard, you have a God of Limited, and a God of Vintage. And I think Vintage is the only format where it doesn't cap, obviously, because you don't have 300 players, but it gets kind of close.
So how often does this big event happen?
Yeah, so it happens once every quarter. So you have it once in spring, summer, and autumn and winter. And you also have trials, or at least there used to be trials, because I don't think there are trials anymore. And yeah, it's massive, really. It's usually about like 9 rounds, if not more, with a cut to top 8. Almost like a GP. It has full written coverage, it has video coverage, it has player profiles and deck lists, and yeah. It's a delight, really, and it's also 25 minutes from my apartment. So
like almost anything in Tokyo, I guess. So why did you not ascend to Divinity? Why did you only get second place? Well, you're not a God of Legacy now, right?
So yeah, I
got the wrong guy on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm only the semi God, maybe. Oh no, I'm probably like the dumb little.
Well, you played against Grixis Delver in the final.
It was Blue-Red Delver. It was Blue-Red Delver, and if I look at the
didn't even need the
list,
Cabal Therapy.
It doesn't. It doesn't look too far off the list popular in 2020. Seriously. So really? the deck I faced in the finals, he already had the full set of Dreadhorde Arcanist, Delver, and Young Pyromancer. And the interesting part of that final match is that in both sideboard games, I lost, but not because I couldn't combo off. I lost because I underestimated Dreadhorde Arcanist and how fast it can be with lightning bolts, especially paired with Young Pyromancers. So I thought in both sideboard games that I have 2 more turns. In fact, I had 0. So I was just dead, because if you go like end of turn, like lightning bolt you twice and you have 2 Dreadhorde Arcanists out there and Young Pyromancer with 1 token, you can simply die from 15 life, no problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, that card is quite good.
Yeah,
we talked about it on one of our most recent episodes, where how it actually came out in 2018 or 19, I don't even know, and it was overshadowed for quite a while by Ren and 6, and then we got Underworld Breach and everything, and only once we got rid of all of that, it started really showing how powerful Dreadhorde Arcanist actually is, and I guess your opponent was already ahead of the curve, so that's props to him, even though I'd love to see you ascend to Divinity at some point. But
I'm sure it'll happen now with this Doomsday card. You've been playing that quite a lot.
Oh, dude, you've been crushing with Doomsday, right? You sent us one of our lists. Let's actually talk about that in a little bit. But before we move on, I have one more question, because that's something that's actually really interesting to me. Have you ever played Legacy outside of Tokyo, like in the north, like Hokkaido, or I don't know, Fukuoka, Osaka, in the west? Or is everything so big in Tokyo that you don't even need to travel anywhere?
Tokyo is Tokyo. Tokyo is just absurd at what they're capable of. Last summer, for the first time I went to Fukuoka. That's where my girlfriend is from. And we made a little trip there. And I also Googled that they also got a Hallelujah in Fukuoka. It's obviously not as big as the tournament center, but they got, like 50 seats or 60 maybe. And I was really thinking about taking my Legacy deck there. Ultimately, I decided to take my Modern deck, because I thought in my back hat, I was like, oh, there's no way it's Legacy is gonna fire in Fukuoka. Well, I was wrong. So I ended up being there with a crappy Modern deck. It was Blue-Red Storm. It is completely out of date, because I really don't care about Modern all that much. And I was there, and I saw all these Legacy players, obviously with a lot of wacky, wonky techs, like cards I've never seen, like far beyond Dead Drop. And it was a delight to watch, and I felt kind of like, okay, well, I should have brought my actual Legacy deck. But I think the scene is not as big as in Tokyo, but still big enough, I think.
Awesome. So you could actually do like a trip, travel all around Japan and play Legacy in every bigger city.
Oh, definitely. And the thing is that I haven't really been to many other cities outside of Tokyo, and here's why. But when I was working at Tokyo MTG, I only had this much holidays per year, and it's really not that many days. I think in the first year I only had 10 days or so the whole year. It's ridiculous, right? Yeah. So I had to squeeze everything together for a trip to Germany to visit my parents. So because of that, I didn't have any days left to make a trip to other cities. I've never been to Osaka, for example. It's crazy to say that, but
really?
I've never been to Osaka. I've heard to
so many
Hokkaido.
good things about it.
Yeah, so I think most people, like, for example, Claudio Bonani, for example, and some others, they definitely know more of Japan than I do.
Oh, so you still have a lot to see, but what are your plans for I was going to say the upcoming year, but we're already in 2021. We talked a little bit about that you're playing Doomsday now, and dude, you sent me a list that made me question my existence, because you sent me a Doomsday list that had like Dreadhorde Arcanist, it had like Uro and Oko. I don't even remember. You basically you sent me a snow deck that happened to splash Doomsday almost. Is that what you're gonna be playing going forward here?
Yeah. So I started to play Magic Online in 2020, very recently. I think it was right before Lurus came out. So as I bought into Magic Online and Lurus happened, I was like, oh, what the hell, you know? Was that what I signed up for? And yeah, I've been playing ever since Martin Nielsen, like Neville Shoot, told me how ridiculous Thassa's Oracle is. I was all about it, and I got a little tired of losing to Veil of Summer when I played the Thousand Tendrils. I think everyone can definitely get that. And I was like, oh, this Thassa's Oracle, especially in combination with Cavern of Souls, is a ridiculous win condition. It's so hard to interact. And the combo is so compact and only occupies so few slots that it leaves a lot of room to breathe and have a lot of different ways to approach this deck, right? And in the beginning, I was all about the pure combo, pushing it to the max, making it as fast and as combo-ish as possible. And these days, I'm kind of doing exactly the opposite, because I feel like so many cards in Legacy are broken. I feel like 5 years ago, you could only name a few really broken cards in Magic. And I kind of like Past in Flames as one, Natural Order is another one, and Jace the Mind Sculptor. Yeah, you get the idea. But these days, so many of the cards are must Force of Will cards, such as Dreadhorde Arcanist, for example, Uro Oko, obviously, and some others too, that you really, like, there's no reason to not play those cards, if that makes any sense. I mean, I've seen Uro Oko also splashed in Elves, for example. This is no joke, really.
Dude, my least proudest memory was when I played Oko and Elves, and I stole a Dreadhorde Arcanist with it, and I used it to flashback a Glimpse of Nature.
Oh my god!
What do you mean, like, low point? That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
it does get old after a while.
So did you then, like, after that league, put a Tiger in your deck and put some Arcanists in your deck?
Dude, don't give me ideas, because that's like I'm still thinking about maybe I'm gonna recreate like blue elves and get some Fossils and stuff in there and just like fully commit to the mid-range plan.
And you can flashback Greenson Zenith after it gets countered for Dryad Arbor.
Yeah, just get another Dryad Arbor.
Yeah.
Sweet game, but no, seriously, Kai, is we're gonna link the deck in the show notes. Is that something that you think makes sense right now, or are you looking to maybe recreate something entirely different?
I mean, I've been working on the deck for quite a while now, and it's very, very possible that it will change, depending on what the meta looks like. But I've been very, very happy with this particular approach, because Doomsday is specifically weak to any kind of like blue-red Delver, blue-red X Delver, fast clock, lightning bolts, wastelands, and counters. They have them all. So what this new version does is that all the bad cards, such as like Doomsday and Thassa's Oracle, they can be replaced by the more powerful cards against Delver, which are like Uro, Abrupt Decay, Baleful Strix, stuff like that. And I think it gives it a very, very smooth transition into another archetype, which is very, very potent against our worst matchup. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
So you're actually telling me you're sideboarding into Snoko, like after game 1?
So if I would say yes, then it would probably mean that my win percentage would drop in the next couple of days. So I'm not gonna comment on this, but yeah.
Is that a big maybe?
Definitely maybe. Isn't that the Oasis album? Dude, I love Oasis. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna see. But if you want, and if you want to give us a link the deck list, then we're gonna link that in the show notes to this podcast on the website.
Also one thing is if you ever had the experience to draw into your Doomsday pile with an Uro attack, then you made it. Then you absolutely made it. There's no better experience in Legacy than drawing with your Uro attack into your first card of the pile. It's a delight.
Oh god, this is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. Senses Divine in top is back, and it gains you 3 life on attack.
But then what you're drawing off the Uro is like a lightning bolt to kill them after you hit them for 6.
Oh my god, it's probably like the second Uro to then, because Uro's a cantrip, right? You just Uro into Uro into Thassa's Oracle. Oh my god.
Arcanist to then flashback a Brainstorm after you Doomsday.
Oh my god.
It's like drawing
maybe
cards.
We should just send this part of the episode to Wizards of the Coast to see what they're thinking.
Yeah.
Or maybe somebody's got to move to Seattle and crush them a couple of times in tournaments, because I hear Wizards and players, they can actually play in local tournaments now. They're no longer banned from any kind of play. I think they only can't play in big events, but there's not too many of those happening online right now. Actually, what is it like in Tokyo right now? Is everything on lockdown, or how does it work over there? How is the situation?
Yeah, so in December, the Wizards of the Coast in Japan, they decided to lock down all the stores, so no events are allowed until I think the middle of February, if I'm not mistaken. The stores are still open, so you can still buy cards or play casually, but there won't be any events. And let's see from there. Yeah.
Okay. So actually, that's interesting. I didn't even know that Wizards can basically tell you can't run Magic events, but of course they can't stop you from opening. But they can tell you, well, if you're gonna run Magic events, then we're gonna withdraw whatever star level you have with us. So that makes sense. So that they can exercise influence over that. Awesome. Okay, so why don't we move on and look into a couple of listener questions? We actually received quite a lot from a couple of people on our Discord here. And the very first one, I really don't know what to make of that. You guys actually tried to explain to me what this is, but I already forgot again. The Hackbird asks, what is the best Dark Ritual deck? And why is it Bizarro Stormy? So if you had told me what is Bizarro Stormy, I would have thought maybe it's like an American wrestler or a porn star. What is Bizarro Stormy?
Like Bizarro Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, I would take the porn star. I honestly don't know what Bizarro Stormy is.
It's a Tin Fins variant with Magus of the Mind, which you Shallow Grave Magus of the Mind, and then do crazy things with that.
Wait, okay.
I mean, you must know what Magus of the Mind does.
Is it Mind's Desire, or what does it do?
It's a Mind's Desire, which you have to pay a blue, tap it, and sack it to Mind's Desire.
Oh, that's actually pretty cheap.
So you Shallow Grave that, and then you get to Mind's Desire.
Yeah, Callan, why don't we do this together? So I'm telling you that Dark Ritual is a busted magic card, and you do all the rest.
Okay, so you cast Dark Ritual, then you cast Entomb. You get Magus of the Mind. Well, the deck has Griselbrand as well, so you're just like, why would I get Magus of the Mind? So I guess you get Griselbrand first, and then you keep doing things, and then you Magus of the Mind.
So this is just like a flashy finish. This is like you're a wrestler and you have to come up with a finishing move so that they will feature you on TV and stuff.
That's actually the best way of putting it, because there's so many different variants of Tin Fins, and they all have ridiculous names, which is part of the allure of the deck, in my opinion. I love their naming conventions and how ridiculous it all is.
Ice Station Zebra.
Ice Station Zebra, exactly. And it's all from cartoons and stuff. I'm not going to tell you where Bizarro Storm is from because I can't remember, but they do have, in their Discord, they have sections of it dedicated to all the people asking what the name fucking means.
That there's a dedicated Bizarro Stormy Discord, and you are part of that. Dude, you
Of course.
from this point on, I'm gonna believe you are literally part of every single Discord in the world.
I have a really, really deep love for Tin Fins. It's one of, like, especially at my local game store, I used to play it quite a lot for years. I always hated Reanimator. I was too bad at playing Storm, so I played Tin Fins.
Dude, this is like if Tin Fins ever gets a dedicated website, like the Epic Storm and stuff, this is gonna be the testimonial that we're gonna put in there. I always hated playing Ritual. I was too bad for Storm. That's why I picked up Tin Fins.
I'm too good for Reanimator, too bad for Storm. That's why I play Tin Fins.
Okay.
So that's why it's the best Dark Ritual deck.
We're gonna settle on that.
So the best Dark Ritual deck. I know that people like
I
Brian
totally forgot
Cook,
we actually had a real question in there. Sorry.
Yeah. I know that people like Brian Cook, they're probably going to crucify me after saying that, but I do think that the best Dark Ritual deck is currently not a Storm deck, it's Doomsday. I am pretty positive on that.
He actually messaged me a couple of weeks ago saying he got some Doomsday cards recently. So
Oh, really?
Not
good job, Brian.
Not these off TES, but he knows it's good.
So I guess if you get like Rite of Flames and you Manamorphose into black mana, that there's a deck there, I guess.
Oh, certainly, yeah. I mean, the Epic Storm is definitely the best Epic Storm deck, I was gonna say.
Okay, here's an idea. Turn 1, Rite of Flame, Dreadhorde Arcanist. Turn 2, attack, flashback, Rite of Flame, and then you have mana in your attack phase. Okay, I guess you can Manamorphose, and then double Lightning Bolt. Yeah,
You're
really selling here, Julian.
Julian,
nice.
stop.
I just want a flashback Rite of Flame. That sounds so sweet. Actually, it's really bad for future ones.
Well, you could play like Black Red Phoenix with Arcanist and Rite of Flame, and Burning Wish for Buried Alive and stuff. I'll build you this deck.
Oh god, I'm excited. Okay. So, moving on, we have a question from Fire Ballard. Fire is asking, love Japan a lot. Tell us a great Japanese dish, Japanese place, and manga we probably never heard about outside of Japan. So, Kai, I don't know if you're into mangas, but you probably are into food and, places. Yeah, that goes
places,
without saying.
Dude, I'm all about those places, yeah.
So, let's start off with that. What's your favorite place in Japan? Like, it doesn't even have to be magic related.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I'm a big fan of the whole Yokohama area. It's the whole Marine Bay area, a little bit in the south. It's beautiful. It's mostly for dates, having a good day, or like just generally having a good day out. Sometimes they even have bigger magic tournaments in that area, which means that even if you drop out like 03, you can still have a good day because they also have a theme park with roller coasters there and all sorts of entertainment. So that's Yokohama is definitely an area I would say.
That slight pause before entertainment, that makes me suspicious. We have a lot of entertainment.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
That's the shop where people cast Dead Drop.
Oh my god.
Awesome, man. So we got that. So how about dishes? Like, what are typically Japanese dishes that you've grown to enjoy a lot?
Yeah, so I mean, everyone knows about sushi, would question that. But the place, there's not a specific dish I really like because everything tastes so good here. But a good recommendation is to check out those izakayas. So izakaya is a thing in Japan. I don't think it exists in Europe because it's a hybrid between restaurant and bar. So most people who finish their work, they want to go to those izakayas where they can either drink all you can drink for 2 hours, for example, but also have a few like half snack, half meals in front of them. But they all sit in the middle of the table. So it's not like I have my big dish, you have your big dish, and let's talk or let's eat. It's more about like, let's have some drinks, let's talk. And while we're talking and drinking, you also have a little bit of like side dishes on the middle of the table. You can take whatever you want. That's what a izakaya is. It's pretty awesome. I go there all the time. It's especially good after a magic tournament, for example. And also very good in big groups because you can order a variety of food and you're definitely going to like some of them. And there's something for everyone. So izakaya is definitely what I recommend. And you can find them anywhere.
That sounds great. That sounds great. And is there also some kind of food that you wouldn't recommend? We in the pre-show we talked a little bit about certain foods that you want me to try because they are so bad.
Yeah, I mean I like it, but it's so one thing. It's called natto. It's natto. It's
I'm actually gonna Google that right now.
Yeah, I don't even know how to say it in English. It's fermented beans, like. It looks kind of gross. It's beans, but yeah, it's kind of hard to describe. It looks very gross.
I'm looking at it right now, and I think Callum would be all over that because this is what they eat in Britain for breakfast. Allegedly.
Oh God!
I've been to like British places when I was there for like trade fairs, and they gave me exactly that. And it's not. Yeah, I don't know what to make of this.
How do you spell it again? Let me look it up.
It's natto.
Natto. All right.
But at least they eat it on rice.
This is nothing like English
make
food.
my piece of rice.
This looks nothing like English food. This is so much better. Come on.
Oh my God.
Come on.
Oh God.
Don't be so rude to natto.
Are you telling me also you don't like English breakfast?
I like English breakfasts. Yes, it tastes nice. English food is not the best, to put it politely. Have you ever heard of a Wigan kebab?
No.
Okay.
Is that like a doner kebab?
It's a video. It's a bit of a meme, and it's just the worst food you can imagine. It's not good when
your food is a meme.
Oh, I need to send you the video too. We'll link it in the show notes. This is a great example of British food and English people. I shouldn't actually say British, just English. We're just the worst.
Oh my God! Okay.
Okay, I like kebabs, but you make it sound like it's something I probably don't want to taste. Like to me, thus far, the worst I've ever seen was pre-packed haggis in Scotland. It was called haggis in a hurry. So if you were like in a hurry, you just grab haggis from the store and you eat it while walking. I don't know, somewhere. It was like pretty disgusting.
A Wigan kebab is a buttered barm cake, so just like a really just a white roll with a meat and potato pie in the middle. That's it.
Yeah.
Plain.
Oh, dude, I forgot that you guys do that thing in England where you put like meat inside of pies and stuff. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you guys?
Just Google Wigan kebab right now.
I don't even know if I should, but I'm actually gonna do that.
Should we really put it in the show notes?
We're probably gonna lose a ton of subscribers.
They can just search for Wigan kebab.
Oh my God, this is disgusting. This looks like a mushroom growing inside of a kebab.
Yes.
Yes, that's the best way to put it. Okay. Oh my fucking God. Oh. And here no, there's no way that this is a thing. Oh my God, this is serious. This is like a fucking giant mushroom inside of a kebab, and like there's not even sauce or vegetables or anything.
Yeah. And then you eat this with a portion of like really shit chips with like so much gravy on. It's just a bucket of gravy with some chips inside.
So I guess so you don't have to like taste the vegan kebab. Maybe we're gonna have an episode on English food in the near future, but this is too much for me right now.
Yeah,
I am still subscribed to the Church of the Holy Doner Kebab. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Callum, you probably cook a lot, right? Like if there's only this much food outside, then
I don't cook as much as I should. I'm vegetarian as well, so I don't go near these kind of things.
Oh, okay. You got a good excuse to not eat those ridiculous dishes. Okay, yeah, I like that.
I ate meat until I tried one until I had a Wigan kebab. Then I turned vegetarian.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I think I might also be vegetarian. I just turned vegetarian just right now.
Awesome. Okay, so that's our part about the dishes. Do you read mangas? Is there like a manga that we might not have heard about that you enjoy?
Man, as much as I like to, I don't have any recommendations for manga. The last manga I read was One Piece, and I was 12 years old. Sorry.
Okay. So moving on, SC Tilly or Skitelli has a question about the best shop for Legacy in Japan. I think we already covered a lot of the different shops.
Yep. Calum, you want to say something?
Well, based on what we've been talking about, I would like to go to all of them, honestly, because as you've described them, I mean, Haruya sounds incredible. I mean, just like mind-blowingly good. I knew that Legacy was obviously very popular in Japan, but until talking to you, I didn't realize to the extent. Like, this is more than twice as much as I expected, and it's just amazing to hear. And I think it goes to show just how much is being played there and how much influence we could try and take from like in America and Europe and any other place in the world. So we should pay more attention to the results coming out of there. And I would just go to all of them if I could go. We should go and do like a you know how they do beer runs? We need to go to every pub in an area. We should do like a magic
like
shop
a pub
run.
crawl.
Oh hell yeah!
Exactly. Yeah.
Play one round per store. You don't have like a 10-round tournament at the end.
And you have to run between each one.
Dude, I have so many great ideas for that. Dude, we really got to do that once it becomes possible.
We could do like one shop every day of a week.
That sounds amazing. I actually have one more question. Legacy blew up, kinda like it became a really massive thing in the West once Star City Games started streaming. Is there also like lots of streaming, like Japanese streaming? I've seen some Japanese streamers get on Twitch lately. Is that like the place where everybody in Japan streams? Because I know that, for example, in China there's like a dedicated Chinese streaming platform, so they don't really use Twitch all that much.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't know about that, but yes, some people do stream. But I think the old Star City Games videos, I think they really like pushed Legacy so much, and I think they're probably also part of the reason why I've been liking Legacy for such a long time. There is no store or no like service community for streaming specifically in Japan, but some people do it for fun. Yeah.
Okay, but they do it on Twitch, so it's not like we're missing out on something that's happening on a totally different platform.
Yeah, so there is another platform. It's called I think it's called Nico Nico. It's
I remember.
Nico. Yeah, Nico Nico also means to smile, like like a smiley channel kind of thing. I think they use it for GPs. Previous.
Yeah, I pirate restreamed their Japanese coverage for the GP where you made top 4, and I kept it running like for 12 hours or something. At some point I fell asleep in front of my computer, and then our friend Mark Vogt, he actually called me on the phone. He's like, dude, the top 8 is starting, we gotta start commentating, and I was like so tired, but then Mark and I just started commentating, so we didn't know the name of the players, so we could just call them, I don't even know, we made up names for them, and yeah, we basically pirate streamed that to Twitch, and that was one of my most viewed videos. And it's still on YouTube, and I sometimes get like comments on like Japanese comments, and when I auto translate them, they complain that like everything is wrong and we're saying the wrong things. You just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So another question. This is actually the most sophisticated question that we've received. I will just read it out. It's from our friend Martin Nielsen from Denmark. Never shoot. Question for Kai. How would he recommend one best goes about keeping it sleazy? Kai, how do you keep it sleazy? How does that work? I have no idea what he means.
Hi, Martin. How are you? How are you? How's your fam? How are your kids?
Oh, dude, this is a remote question. We're not talking to him right now. This is the internet, my friend.
Dude, no, Martin is a very, very good friend. If he is probably the person I talked to the most about Magic in 2020 by a mile, because he and I we have all been about Thassa's Oracle. So yeah, and so Martin is a very cool guy, and he has a lot of cool input and ideas and stuff. But sometimes he also kind of starts the conversation and be like, yeah, Kai, I don't know. I feel like the deck's not performing well. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Like, what do you think? Like, stuff like that. And I usually respond with, yeah, just keep the ball rolling. So keeping it sleazy is just, just an odd way to say, keep it trying, keep it going, keep it, the flow, And obviously there are games where when you lose, so just, just don't let the deck or the format or anything shrink your motivation for. Yeah, definitely. So that's when I usually say keep it sleazy. It also means during big tournaments such as like showcase challenges, what I usually do is I also do like push-ups, or I around the house once, or I get some coffee outside. Do things to kind of like reset your mode before each round. So I think
all of the Snowcore players should take notice, because you can do so many amazing things with your time if your rounds don't go to time every single round. That's just listen to Kai and don't play Snowcore anymore, okay? Can we agree on that? Thank you.
Wait, is he saying don't play snow? I think he's just saying play snow in the sideboard.
Oh, yeah,
placing
that's
on the
how it
sideboard.
works.
Yeah.
It's
Maybe
gonna
one day,
straight
maybe I should
here.
really make an F stack that literally plays snow on the sideboard as well. Maybe we should just all do that. Like after sideboarding, if you can't beat them, join them. We're just like Snowcore for game 2 and 3. I don't even care. I've lost any trust in anything else. That sounds amazing. One more question, this time again from Fire Ballard. How do you feel about playing standard basics being a disadvantage now? How should a hate card for snow look like? So that's been a thing for quite a while, I think, ever since we basically got Astrolabe, and everybody switched to playing those basic lands, because even if you don't, you might as well do it, because if you're playing, like, say your opponent goes turn 1, basic island, ponder. What do you put him on? You already put him on any kind of combo deck, right? That's like the very first thing I would do. I can barely imagine.
You're already wrong. It's not any combo deck. It's Sneak and Show.
It's Sneak and Show only.
110%. Dude, you must have learnt by now Magic Online. If Sneak and Show players haven't adapted to snow basics, it's just when they play basic island, non-snow, ponder, or preordain, it's Sneak and Show. It just is every time.
You're saying like they're ignoring all their surroundings. All they do is like ape. And it's like, oh, here's turn 2 Grizzlebrand.
I didn't say ape, but they do say fucking Grizzlebrand.
You
Yes.
think it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You got no time to pretend you're a different deck when you're just Grizzlebranding people.
right.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, the card Snow Covered Island, it doesn't exist for Sneak and Show players. Or they don't care, or they are not aware of the card Snow Covered Island. That's also very possible, because their minds are obsessed with Grizzlebrands. So
Yeah.
I think this is the high level analysis of that we can settle on. I think that the more interesting question, I mean, everybody dislikes that, and right, we're hoping that Wizards prints some kind of hate in the future, because thus far from what they've spoiled, there's not really anything I see that might really change this, because from what they've done, they printed this card that we're going to talk about in the next episode, because we're going to do the entire Kaldheim review spoiler in the next episode. They printed this thing that makes your snow-covered things come into play tapped, if I remember correctly. And I think that's not good enough to discourage people from playing snow, because the way I see it, you don't print some super strong hate for snow, because that's always going to be a niche card, and maybe people are going to have it in the sideboard, maybe they're not. It's not present enough in the general metagame to really make a difference, because pretending that your snow, especially if you're a combo deck, it has quite the upside. And I think the way they should do it is to just have a normal playable card, probably even main deck, in most, like, playable in most decks, and then it has some splash damage on snow, I want to say. You know, they have a card, and then it does a little bit against snow. And the key to discouraging people or giving people an excuse not to play those snow basics is to just have a card that's very present, but the downside, the way it hits you, doesn't need to be big. So from what Wizards printed, they printed something that has like a really hard hit on snow, but it's not going to be very common. I think they should print something that's very widely playable and has a minor effect on snow. And that's definitely going to be good enough to already discourage people from playing snow-covered basics and non-snow decks. That's how I see it. What do you think about it, guys?
I agree with that, but I think they can take it further. I agree that they, like, a really hard-hitting thing, like people have suggested, like a 2-mana Stone Rain for snow basics, or like a Snow Choke, whatever. It's not, as you say, like the deck isn't played enough, or it's played a lot now, but they will just adapt to it. They will play removal spells or counter spells for it. I think the best way to get around it is, like you say, play something that is not like a sledgehammer, something that's a bit more finesse, but something that they want to play themselves. So if there was a card that has some splash damage on snow, which they need to make a decision, do we want to play this good card in our mid-range decks, and take some splash damage from other decks playing it? And by choosing to play this good card, we have to give up on the snow theme, whatever. That's a much more interesting take on it, and from a design point of view, than the sledgehammers. This is not easy to do. Like, I have no further ideas than this, but I think when the joy of like playing Legacy from a couple of years ago was, okay, I want to play Control. Do you play like Blue-White Miracles? Or do you play Grixis Control with him, a bit more tap out, or like Bug, whatever? There was real decisions based on each different play style and stuff. And we've kind of lost that with everything coming together, homogenizing together. You can start to move away from that by making real decisions like, do I play this card over this and that and stuff again? So that could be a direction they try and take if they can afford to design like that. But it's a long road and it's not easy, so we have to see.
I kind of like what Julian said about a card which is generally good, but you also have some extra, some extra punch against snow. And I think in Magic, we already had those cards sometimes when they say, like, I don't know, for example, every player takes 2 damage, and if your opponent has this and that, then he even takes 5 damage, for example, stuff like that. So, if your opponent has
I mean, that in Modern there used to be a card, right, that deals 2 damage to something, but if they have like a blue card or so, then it deals 5 damage.
Right, stuff like that. Yeah, definitely. That's possible, but it's also very hard to because if you hate too much on snow, then the already strong Rock Delver will even get better. So it's kind of weird because Legacy is currently the super potent Delver deck with a strong mid-range plan, and then all those like fat stacks, with Uro, Oko, Leovold, and what have you. And if you make the one stronger, then the other will definitely like jump further, even much more. So
maybe we just get rid of both. What do you think about
that?
That actually feeds into Martin's second question. He's asking, it feels like almost every deck in Legacy is doing busted things on turn 2 or 3. A lot of cards on the 2 and 3 mana curve feel incredibly powerful. Was it always like this, or is this an effect of 2019 and the Fire design philosophy? I have a lot of thoughts on that, but guys, go ahead. What are your thoughts on this? Is this like a new thing that the 2 and 3 mana slots are what's dominating Legacy?
Go for it, Kai.
Go ahead, Callum. Oh yeah.
Nice.
no. Go ahead.
I said it first. Go on.
Okay. So I think we can all agree that there were definitely busted 2 and 3 mana things even 10 years ago, I want to say. If I think about cards like Goblin Lackey, for example, or Mother of Runes, like Goblin Lackey is from Urza's Saga, and he is a must-answer creature on turn 1. If you don't have the bolt or the blocker, then you're probably in a lot of trouble. And in trouble, it means they're probably going to drop a War Chief. But, I mean, you get the idea, right? So I think there were only a couple of very problematic creatures or / planeswalkers which you have to handle immediately, otherwise you lose the game. And like Stoneforge Mystic is one of them. If you don't have the bolt, then the Battle Skull is gonna hit you hard. The same obviously for Jace Divine Sculptor, probably up to Oko, the most powerful magic card, or like one of the most powerful magic cards ever. And it's kind of hard for Wizards to keep printing like same level card stuff, because people like to get very hyped about new releases, and if you print cards which are obviously worse than previous versions of very similar cards, then like what's the point of first buying them and then also playing them, right? So it's a lot of unfortunate events, but yeah, Dreadhorde Arcanist and Oko Uro, they definitely feel like incredible powerful plays you can make on turn 2 and 3. And you have more of those must-kill answers, must-kill cards in 2020.
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
I think part of it is the cards are obviously just getting way better. It's pretty clear in the last couple of years we've had a slew of like not just like good in Legacy, but actually defining cards. I mean, the conversations right now are centering around Dreadhorde Arcanist, Uro and Oko and Astrolabe. But I mean, let's not forget about like even Narset is barely being played, but was in some conversations. There's Khan, there's Teferi as well, sometimes coming out Veil of Summer. I mean, there's just so many strong cards. I'm probably forgetting about some really obvious ones. We've also had like a bunch of bans. It's been a pretty crazy 2 years. Part of the general direction has been so many cards either like give you velocity, or like especially just drawing a card, or like Arcanist flashing back cantrips. We've moved away from a format where you can use your life total as a resource. Like when you were describing these good cards as Stoneforge Mystic, which is just putting in equipment, as speeding with creatures, or Tarmogoyf, Tombstalker back in the day. Like these cards were like attacking you and not just putting you ahead on cards. These days, tempo is defined by like cards and putting ahead by advantages other than like your life total. Arcanist is just hitting you for 1, but when you take 1 once from it, you already feel behind when it's flashing back a ponder. And so this immediacy of these of these cards needing an answer straight away is what really defines the push and power level, in my opinion. So let's bring back life totals as a resource, okay?
Hey, Callum, I got an interesting question for you, for both of you guys. What did you guys think about Dark Confidant when it came out? Do you guys remember?
I do.
That was 2005, right? 2005, 2006, Ravnica.
I was too young to realize its power, so I was just like, I have no idea why people are buying it for so much money, but I'm going to sell my pre-release ones for cranial extractions.
Okay.
So I had just gotten into competitive Magic back then, and I was incredibly scared of the card because I knew when it was in play, I had to kill it as soon as possible. My entire mind was obsessed with Dark Confidant. I gotta get rid of that. It's funny you mentioned the card because that's like one of the very first cards in competitive Magic where I was obsessed with killing it because it's one of the scariest thing I could ever face.
True, right? Yeah, and I think there were only a handful of creatures which generate card advantage. The other one being the John Finkel card, the Shadow Infiltrator.
Shadow Mage Infiltrator.
Yeah, Shadow Mage Infiltrator. Like that's also like you gotta kill it now, or otherwise it's gonna get out of control kind of card. So it's not like Dreadhorde Arcanist and Uro are like some new wild nonsense ideas, because you already had those card generating creatures like way back then. And I was just curious what people thought about Dark Confidant when it came out, because like the power toughness 2/1, it didn't matter at all. You can just keep it there. It doesn't even have to attack. Just keep it, like Phyrexian Regioning. Phyrexian whatever.
Arena.
What it's called.
Yeah.
Arena, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
totally.
the biggest difference is that back then the format was a lot slower, and I think you could build your deck in ways to basically, now we need a lot of early defenses, and Dreadhorde Arcanist and Diver, like all these cards are a reason for that, why we have to focus so much on the early drops. And I think Legacy basically has always been dominated by 2 and 3 drops. I mean, we used to have this rule that if a card costs 4, it's really gotta win you in a game, like Natural Order, Chase the Mind Sculptor, Alluren, that kind of thing. That used to be like a near hard rule of Legacy. And now I think that 4 is almost shifted down to 3 with Oko, for example, but even in a way also almost to 2 with Dreadhorde Arcanist, because the big difference is Dreadhorde Arcanist not only allows you to get the card advantage, it also gives you the extra velocity, or let's call it tempo, of not having to pay for the card, and you basically kind of get to tutor. So with Dreadhorde Arcanist, you're almost always hitting in the early game, and you get a tempo boost. And those are two things that Dark Confidant doesn't really do for you. Like, Dark Confidant needs to survive for 2 turns to even give you card advantage if you don't count the body of the creature, which often isn't really counted unless you're... I guess if you played in Storm, right, then it reduced the Storm count by attacking, but that's a different thing. And I think that's the big thing about Dreadhorde Arcanist and why it changed so much, that's like Callum said, we're not really using our life total as a resource anymore against these kinds of decks like we used to, because our life total is secondary. The first thing is the strategic pressure of drawing extra cards, and long before your life total ever becomes really relevant, I guess, unless you're up against Blue Red Diver, you're already so far behind on cards, and that's a new thing for a 2-drop, and that's just the scary part of it. And that's why I think a lot of people, I would guess, Astrolabe used to be the most hated card. I think Dreadhorde Arcanist is probably on average the most hated card in Legacy right now. And I think that's what's going on, that the 2 and 3 drops are more powerful than they used to be. Because in the past, we had Rock Swarmonk, we had Knight of the Reliquary, those were respectable Legacy cards, and the power level has shifted up quite a bit with regards to that.
The pancake flipper, make it great again.
Yeah, pretty much.
The other difference, I guess, is Dark Confidant, just to harken back to it, it does get compared quite a lot, but Dreadhorde Arcanist doesn't really have even much deck building restrictions. Like Dark Confidant, you feel bad if you play it with Force of Wills and stuff. This is why Arcanist is just, it asks you to play some cantrips. Oh dear, poor you. So, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point, right? So technically it also has deck building restrictions. It just happens that those restrictions are already imposed by Legacy itself anyway. Yeah.
Totally.
So yeah, that's where we stand on that. But I'm quite confident, Comic Trace, but I'm quite confident that we're gonna see something. Okay, I'm just gonna say that Wizards is gonna ban something. I'm gonna say the bad B word, and
I think we
will see about that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of call for it as well, and if you look at tournament results. But yeah, those are our listener questions for now. Now, I actually have one last question that I want to ask Kai, and it might sound really stupid, but I've read so much about Japan and seen so much about Japan. Kai, do you have like what they call a Hanko stamp? Is that really a thing? I've seen that in videos.
Yeah, I do have one. So
it's like the.
It's called Hanko, and so you don't sign things in Japan, but you have this stamp which with your name on it, and whenever you have to sign something, you stamp on it, which is ridiculous because anyone with my stamp can basically sign, right?
Couldn't anybody else just like randomly buy the same kind of stamp in a store, or has it to be like certified through the government or something?
So the most common names, such as like Suzuki, Sato, Watanabe, like these noble, like popular Japanese names, you can buy those hankos everywhere, but they all look a little different. So some of them are like slightly bigger or have some like bolder text, for example, like and you have to register one of your hankos to, for example, if I make a bank account, I register one hanko. I'm messing it up too. And then you're only allowed to use the same hanko after again, so you can't switch.
What if you lose it?
If you lose it, then you're fucked. Yeah.
That's what it says on the bank website. If you read the terms of services, Hanko stamp. In case of loss, you are fucked. The bank gets to keep it. Easy game. We should open a bank in Japan, dude. This is easy. We just like hunt people down and steal their Hanko stamps, and that way you basically get all the money. Awesome. So
but it's a weird tradition in Japan. I don't know why they're still doing it, but yeah, it's definitely like one of those really old traditions.
But you don't need one as a tourist, right?
No, you don't. Only if you want to sign contracts.
I just want to break contracts.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Kai, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. We learned a lot about Legacy, not only about Legacy, but also mostly Legacy in Japan, lots of cultural things. It still blows my mind how many tournaments you guys get over there. That's just something that's crazy to me. How can people actually find you if they want to reach out to you, if they want to get in contact with you, if they ever were to come to Japan or talk more about their Doomsday Snowco hybrid lists?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter. It's at Kai Sawatari. I'm Sawatarix on Magic Online. Also active on the Discord channel for Doomsday, and also my art homepage if people wanna see what I'm up to. It's sawataridoodles.com. Please check it out. Appreciate it.
Awesome. There's some really sweet stuff on that website. I actually took a look before the podcast. There's some really cool stuff. Great. So if you guys want to support not only Kai, because so you can go to his website and buy some of his doodles, as he calls them. If you want to support Everyday Channel, you can do that in many different ways. You can actually, there's 3 different ways. you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts, makes it easier for people to find our podcast, helps us get up in the ratings. So that's really a big thing. If you want to do that, thank you so much for that. You can also support us on our Patreon. So you can become a Patreon on different tiers and also make sure that we get to run the show, keep the lights on this side of the ocean. And other than that, the biggest thing is just like spread the word. Let people know about the podcast. Let people know about Legacy in the first place. Not even like our podcast in particular, but also our podcast if you want to. But really just like spread the gospel of Legacy. That's the 3 things that you can do. That would be highly appreciated. Also, big shout-outs to our Eternal Witness tier patrons, Tommy Hinks, Trent Browse, and Testacular, as well as our top-tier Grizzlebrand supporters, Victor Bernatzt, Bachubat, happy birthday by the way, Scott Monroe, Kulish Alistay, Jeremy Gates, Henrik Korkutz, and Tom Hepp. Thank you so much for keeping us running the show, and I think, guys, that's going to be it. I'm going to definitely dream about Tokyo. I'm going to watch a couple more. Dudes, I feel so weird, but I've been really obsessed with Japan lately, like watching all these videos. I can't lie.
I got to go now because I need to get out. I've got my flight to catch. I'm going over there as soon as possible. Amazing.
Oh, do you have your COVID test?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that stuff. All right, I'll be there soon.
Yeah, we're gonna need you for the Kaltheim review, but I hear they also have internet in Tokyo, so maybe you can do it from there.
Cool.
Awesome. So everybody, thank you, have a great time, and see you again by probably like the end of the month for our Kaltheim review.
Sounds good. Goodbye, everyone.
Take it easy.